All right, so every week we are joined by Colorado's best attorney, Phil Harding. He's truly Colorado's best attorney, honored as one of the top 100 trial lawyers in Colorado for the last 14 years. Thanks for joining us this morning, Phil.
Sure.
You know, you and I were chatting off camera. This is a big issue, underinsured and uninsured, right?
Yeah, what we're going to talk about today is the most important insurance that's on your car, right? You have health insurance, and the reason why you have health insurance is just in case. The most important part of your car insurance is this uninsured, underinsured, and we're going to go over a real life case just to kind of show you how important that is.
Because, I mean, what happens? Like, you get into an accident, right? And the first question is, do you have enough coverage, and do they have coverage?
And yeah, that's if you're well enough to talk. I just, a new client came in last week who was involved in a motorcycle accident. We just found out that the guy that hit him has only $25,000 of coverage.
That's huge, right?
That's huge. I mean, this guy has a broken femur, right? The largest bone in your body.
That's not going to be a simple procedure.
Let's go over the stats, right? 1 out of 6 people driving on the road today has no insurance at all. After that, state minimums are $25,000. So you need to maximize your uninsured, underinsured in case someone that runs into you is either uninsured or underinsured, which happens a lot. This uninsured, underinsured, it covers you. It's so powerful. So you and I were talking about this. You're getting into a taxi cab in Boise, Idaho. You're covered. You're riding a skateboard, across the street. You're covered. The key is if you are injured by a car, your uninsured, underinsured follows you. I know you're not in your car, but it's the key if you're injured by a car.
How much let's just say, you have an existing policy now, but how do you know if that's enough?
Yeah, we were talking about this. You have a physical. Hopefully people have physicals every year. I want you at least every other year, go to your insurance agent. They're not going to charge you anything, and get a physical on insurance. The other thing I want you to look at is there's this thing called an umbrella.
I've heard of it.
$300. You can get $1 million more of coverage on everything if you run into someone, but make sure it has that uninsured, underinsured. And let's talk about this one scenario. So I had a client, had $260,000 of medical bills. The person that ran into him had 4 times what's required by law, so they had $100,000. That still was not enough to pay for it. So then I went and looked for uninsured, underinsured, and I found stuff where you wouldn't believe it. So I was talking to her and I said, "Are you married?" And she's like, "I was married a while ago." I'm like, "Do you have kids?" And she goes, "Yep." I go, "Do any of them drive?" She goes, "Yes." And so her son's insurance, car insurance, that was on the ex-father's, policy, covered her. So we were able to get her by stacking all of this insurance.
But that's not, that's why you have a lawyer, right? That's why, because you're going to find these other avenues that aren't obvious, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about stacking insurance because it's really important and most people don't know about it. First of all, when someone runs into you, you look at the owner of the car, okay? And next you look to the driver of the car. And 9 times out of 10, it's always the same person. But again, if someone borrows someone's car, they're borrowing their insurance. So if I'm driving your car, for example, your insurance would come first. And then my insurance, I know I'm not in my car, I'm in your car, comes next. And then you look to your own uninsured, underinsured, right, on all of your cars. And if you have 4 different cars and you paid for a different premium on each one, you're going to have 4 levels of insurance of this uninsured, underinsured that you can stack. Then you look to resident relatives, and that's defined, right? If you live with your brother and he has a car, I know you're not in your brother's car, but under these policies, a resident relative, uninsured, underinsured, you can get that as well. It's crazy what you can do. And the last thing that I just want to throw out here is everyone says, wait a second, I don't want to put a claim in on
because they think that your insurance policy will go up, right?
It will not. There's a specific insurance regulation that specifically says you put in a claim and it's not your fault on your uninsured, underinsured, or MedPay. The insurance company can't dock you, can't put a frowny face next to your name, can't put a check mark, nothing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know about some of this stuff, but that's why you hire guys like Phil. To reach Phil Harding and Associates directly, call 303-762-9500. You can get a free consultation anytime, and you can find Phil online at hlaw.com. Thanks again, Phil, for sponsoring the segment.
Of course.